Hi guys, this week in language, we are going to be reading a story called Mice Twice. Okay, we are going to be reading and responding to a story, learning how to do that, also analyzing how a writer uses details and dialogue to tell a story. So we learned about dialogue and quotations. And so now you guys are going to be able to read a story that incorporates all of that. Okay, so I want you to turn to page 232 in your language books. Okay, it should look something like this. Okay. All right, so when a cat invites a mouse to dinner, anything can happen. Because, cats and mice, they don't really get along. Okay, so we are going to read Joseph Lowe's story to find out. So let your imagination take over as you're reading the story. I want you to think about the problem that Cat has and how it is solved. Okay, because at the end of the story, we're going to respond to it with some questions. Okay. Okay, so it says From Mice Twice by Joseph Lowe. Cat was thinking about supper. He thought, I could eat 47 grasshoppers, or I could eat 69 crickets, or I could eat a fine fat sparrow. But what I think I'd really like is a nice tender mouse. So he went and sat outside Mouse's door. Are you there, Mouse? He asked, and in good health, I hope. Mouse lay snug in her nest behind the door. The door was too small for Cat to get through. Never better, she said. Cat tuned his rough voice to make it smooth. He said, Such a lovely day. I was just thinking, how nice to have a friend for supper. I do hope you can join me this evening. Mouse knew Cat well and all his cunning ways. May I bring a friend? She asked. Mice twice, thought Cat, licking his whiskers. By all means, he said. Shall we say 6 o'clock? 6 will be fine, said Mouse. At 6 that evening, she knocked on Cat's door. Cat's stomach rumbled. Come in, he said. But when he opened the door, he saw that Mouse's friend was not another mouse. It was Dog. Dog was grinning. He was twice as big as Cat. Cat was angry, but he was afraid to show it. He waved them into the house. Come on to the table were 2 small bits of cheese. Such a warm day, said Cat. I find it best to not eat on warm days, but do help yourselves. So Mouse took 1 piece of cheese, and Dog took the other. When he had swallowed his, Dog said, I have seldom enjoyed a cheese so much. Is it Swiss? Or is it French? Asked Mouse. French, Cat said. A gift from my cousin Pierre. Actually, it was common old rat trap cheese, as Dog and Mouse knew very well. Dog said, It has been so pleasant, dear Cat. I hope you will have dinner with me tomorrow night. Cat thought for a moment. I will indeed, he said, if I may bring a friend. Good company makes for good eating, said Dog. Bring any friend you like. Shall we say 7 o'clock? 7 will be fine, said Cat. At 7 the next night, Cat knocked on Dog's door. Beside him stood Wolf, twice as big as Dog, 4 times as fierce. Come in, called Dog. Cat looked at Wolf. He whispered, Dog for you, Mouse for me, agreed. Wolf said nothing, but curled his lip in a horrid smile. All his sharp teeth were showing. Cat and Wolf both licked their whiskers. But when the door opened, there beside Dog sat Crocodile. His big toothy jaws slowly opened and closed as he smiled at Cat and Wolf. Cat and Wolf stared at that gaping mouth. So big, so red, so many teeth. They could not take their eyes away, not even to look at the 4 pieces of cheese on the table. Said Wolf, looking over his shoulder at the door. Actually, said Cat, we came to ask if we might make it another night. Neither of us are feeling well. What a pity, said Dog. I had so hoped you might enjoy this delicate French cheese. Brie, it is called, and it really was French brie. Another time, mumbled Cat, as he and Wolf backed out the door. Cat thought for a moment, looking back at Crocodile. Tomorrow night, he said, I'd like you to meet a distant relative who will be visiting me for dinner. Can you join me and bring your friend? Delighted, said Dog, but not Crocky here. He must get back to the river tonight. Perhaps Mouse might come, if that is agreeable. Splendid, said Cat, trying not to grin. I will expect you at 8 o'clock. At 8 the next evening, Dog Mouse knocked on Cat's door. Inside sat Lion, so big he all but filled the house. Cat had to visit between his huge paws. Cat was smiling. In the space remaining at one side was a table. It was covered with dishes of good things Cat had bought to please Lion. There were fresh roasted peanuts, fat juicy raisins, and little cakes. Cat looked up and whispered to Lion, when the door opens, I will grab Mouse, you grab Dog, and that will be that. That, rumbled Lion, licking his whiskers with his rough red tongue. How prompt you are! Come in, cried Cat to Dog. As the door swung open, both Cat and Lion leaned forward, their mouths already open. Neither of them had noticed that Dog and Mouse had brought their good friend Wasp. Quick as a wink, Wasp stung Lion's nose, then his ear, then his rough red tongue. Lion was frantic. He tried to back away, but Cat's house was too tight around him. Wasp stung his lip. Lion broke the house apart and ran. Cat ran after him, and Dog after Cat. Cat's house was wrecked, but the table was unharmed. All the good things on it stood as they had been. Good friend, said Mouse to Wasp, do help yourself to anything you fancy. I rather like the smell of those peanuts myself, for starters. Plenty here for both of us, and a good share too. For Dog, if Cat escapes what he deserves. If Cat did escape, you may be sure he never bothered Mouse again. Okay, so that is our story. Now I want you guys to respond to the story. So look at number 1. What do you like most about the story? What would the story be as enjoyable if the characters were people? Explain your answer. So I want you guys to think about that question, okay? Think about the story that we read, okay? And do you think that the story would be more enjoyable if the characters were people, or do you think it would be the same with animals, okay? And then look at number 2. Why do you think Joseph Lowe wrote this story? Okay, so sometimes authors have a purpose when writing the story. Sometimes they're trying to teach you a lesson about something. Okay, they could be writing it for your pleasure, for to be enjoyable, okay, to make you laugh, also to make you think about things. Okay, so he could be writing it for different reasons. So I want you to tell me what you think or why he wrote the story. Okay, number 3, the writer planned a beginning, a middle, and an end for the story. What does the writer tell you in the beginning? How does each thing that happens make you want to read on? Okay, so there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end to a story. Okay, so at the beginning of the story, the writer, he introduces the characters, okay? He introduces Cat to us, okay, which would be the main character. Okay, so he kind of talks about what cats like to eat. And then he goes on to mice, because cats and mice don't really get along. Okay, they're kind of enemies. Okay, so then he goes on and introduces mouse to us. Okay. And then the middle of the story, he kind of goes on to tell us about, you know, when Mouse comes over for dinner, he wants to bring a friend, and then he brings a friend, which is even bigger. Okay, it's a dog to protect Mouse, okay, because cats and dogs don't get along. Okay, so then it keeps going on with different characters, okay? And there's always a friend involved, okay? And the friend is usually bigger than the other one, okay? For protection. And then number 4 says, are you happy with the ending? Why or why not? So did you like the ending of the story? Okay. If you didn't, I want you to tell me a better ending that you feel about it. So what I want you guys to do is read this story. Okay. Go back and reread again. Okay. And I want you to respond to the story. I want you to write these answers to the questions. You guys can write it in your language books. Okay. And then submit it to me by Tuesday morning. Have fun doing language. Bye.